Welcome back, health champions. Today, we are uncovering something most people completely overlook: your feet. Believe it or not, your feet are one of the most powerful windows into what is actually happening inside your liver right now. There are 10 specific signs showing up on your feet that your liver is under serious stress, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to look for. Sign number 1 is yellowing of the feet. Now, this one needs some context because the location of the yellow color matters enormously. If your entire foot looks yellow or yellowish, including the tops and the skin around the ankles, that is very likely jaundice. Jaundice happens when the liver falls behind in processing a yellow pigment called bilirubin. In mild cases, it shows in the whites of the eyes and across the skin, but in more severe situations, you start to see it in the feet as well. However, if only the soles of your feet are yellow, that is a completely different story. That pattern typically points to something called carotenemia, which just means you have too many carotenoids in your bloodstream, usually from eating large amounts of carrots, pumpkin, or sweet potatoes. Your body is supposed to convert those carotenoids into vitamin A. But if you are consuming them faster than the conversion can happen, or if your liver is sluggish and slowing that conversion down, the pigment builds up and settles into the fatty skin on the soles of your feet. And then there is a third variation, yellow discoloration just around the toenails or between the toes. That pattern usually means a fungal infection, and there is a direct liver connection here too. A liver that is struggling tends to weaken the immune system, because the liver plays a central role in filtering out harmful pathogens and keeping the body's defenses organized. Fungi are opportunistic, meaning they only take hold when your defenses drop. And if liver stress has also led to insulin resistance, blood sugar control becomes poor, and fungi absolutely thrive in a high-sugar environment. That combination creates the perfect conditions for a stubborn overgrowth. Sign number 2 is cold or numb feet. When the liver is under strain, especially in the case of fatty liver disease, it often comes alongside insulin resistance, and insulin resistance has a devastating effect on your circulation. Your liver produces proteins that regulate how thick your blood is, and when that function is impaired, blood vessels lose their ability to properly control pressure and flow. Meanwhile, high blood sugar causes the inner walls of blood vessels to swell and dysfunction. The result is that blood reaches the extremities less efficiently, and your feet and hands are the first to feel it. You get reduced circulation, reduced nerve supply, and that combination gives you the coldness and tingling numbness. There is also a second mechanism at work here. A struggling liver cannot efficiently convert the inactive thyroid hormone T4 into its active form, T3. The vast majority of that conversion happens in the liver, so when the liver is not working optimally, metabolism slows down and you feel colder overall. Sign number 3 is red, burning, or hot feet. When the liver cannot keep pace with breaking down the body's metabolic waste products, those toxins begin circulating and irritating blood vessels and nerves. That irritation triggers the release of pro-inflammatory chemical messengers called cytokines, and classic inflammation means redness, heat, and swelling as blood vessels dilate to push more blood into the area. There is also another contributor here: iron accumulation. When the liver is struggling, it can begin storing excess iron. Iron that escapes red blood cells is essentially corrosive to surrounding tissue, almost like rusting from the inside. That iron overload, which in its severe form is called hemochromatosis, creates additional damage to blood vessels and nerves, intensifying the burning sensation in the feet. Sign number 4 is itchy, dry, or flaky feet. This one has 3 separate pathways. First, when the liver cannot detoxify fast enough, the body looks for alternative escape routes for toxins, and the skin becomes one of those routes. Toxins exiting through the skin cause inflammation, and irritation, and that manifests as itching. Second, a weakened liver often produces insufficient bile. Bile is essential for absorbing dietary fats, and without adequate fat absorption, you end up deficient in essential fatty acids, particularly omega-3s, which are critical for keeping skin supple, moist, and elastic. Less bile means drier and flakier skin, especially in areas like the feet. Third, the liver is responsible for breaking down histamine, a natural compound involved in immune and allergic responses. If the liver is overwhelmed, histamine levels rise in the bloodstream, and you get skin reactions, allergic-type itching, and irritation. Sign number 5 is swollen feet and ankles. The liver produces a protein called albumin, which acts like a sponge inside your blood vessels, holding water in place through osmotic pressure. Think of it this way: blood pressure pushes fluid outward through vessel walls constantly, and albumin is what counteracts that push and keeps water in the bloodstream. When the liver is not making enough albumin, that sponge effect weakens and fluid leaks out into surrounding tissue, causing the puffiness you see in the ankles and feet. On top of that, a toxic overload combined with insulin resistance activates a hormonal cascade called the RAAS system, which is your body's emergency pressure and fluid control mechanism. When this system gets triggered, the kidneys start retaining more sodium and water, blood pressure climbs, and the swelling gets significantly worse. Sign number 6 is cracked heels. The liver is deeply involved in processing and distributing the essential fatty acids that keep your skin flexible and intact. It also synthesizes the amino acid precursors your body uses to build collagen, the structural protein that holds skin together. When both of those functions decline, skin around the heels becomes brittle and prone to cracking. Reduced circulation makes things worse by delivering fewer nutrients and less oxygen to the tissue that needs to repair itself. And if blood sugar is elevated due to insulin resistance, a process called glycation kicks in, where sugar molecules bind to proteins like collagen and damage them, making skin stiff and increasingly likely to fracture under everyday pressure. Sign number 7 is dark patches on the feet. You may have heard of a condition called acanthosis nigricans, those velvety, darkened, thickened patches of skin that tend to appear in areas where skin folds or rubs together, like the neck, armpits, or groin. They can also appear on the feet, particularly in pressure and friction zones. The thickening happens because insulin resistance makes cells divide slightly faster than normal when repairing wear and tear, creating that characteristic velvety texture. The darkening is a liver issue. A healthy liver regulates pigment production, but under oxidative stress and with a buildup of compounds called advanced glycation end products, which are the damaged proteins created by excess sugar, pigment-producing cells go into overdrive, leaving behind those dark patches. Sign number 8 is recurring toenail fungus. We touched on the immune connection in sign 1, but there is an additional piece worth understanding. The liver is the primary site for producing glutathione, the body's most powerful internal antioxidant, and one of the key substances the immune system uses to neutralize pathogens. When the liver is under stress, glutathione production drops, immunity weakens, and fungal organisms that would normally be kept in check are free to colonize the toenails and surrounding skin. Pair that with elevated blood sugar from insulin resistance, and you have a nearly ideal environment for persistent fungal overgrowth that never quite responds to treatment. Sign number 9 is gout, specifically that excruciating pain that typically arrives in the big toe joint. Gout is caused by crystals of uric acid forming inside a joint, and uric acid is something most people only hear about as a problem. But it is actually essential in the right amounts. It is the primary antioxidant operating outside of cells, just as glutathione is the primary one inside cells. The problem is that when uric acid enters a cell, its chemistry shifts and it becomes pro-inflammatory. A struggling liver processes uric acid less efficiently, and insulin resistance causes the kidneys to reabsorb more of it rather than excreting it, so levels climb. High fructose intake accelerates this further, spiking uric acid dramatically. The result is crystallization inside joints. People often describe it as having shards of glass inside the joint, and the big toe is the most common location. Sign number 10 is excessively sweaty, smelly feet. When the liver cannot neutralize toxins efficiently, the body recruits sweat glands in the skin to help offload some of that toxic burden, and this is especially pronounced on the soles of the feet. But there is a second layer here. A compromised liver also disrupts the gut microbiome, leading to dysbiosis, an imbalance between beneficial and harmful bacteria. When pathogenic bacteria dominate the gut, they generate additional toxic byproducts, which feed directly into systemic inflammation. That inflammation activates the sympathetic nervous system, your stress and fight-or-flight response, and one of the signatures of sympathetic activation is increased sweating in 3 very specific areas: the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, and the armpits. Now here is the part that connects everything. Every single one of these 10 signs traces back to a handful of core dysfunctions: a liver under stress, insulin resistance, a disrupted gut microbiome, and reduced circulation. These are not isolated problems. They are interconnected systems, and when one goes down, the others follow. The encouraging news is that these systems are also highly responsive to lifestyle interventions. Dr. Ashley Monroe has studied liver regeneration extensively and points out that the liver is one of the most resilient organs in the human body, capable of significant recovery when given the right conditions. Reducing refined carbohydrates and fructose, supporting bile production through bitter foods and adequate hydration, improving insulin sensitivity through movement and sleep, and adding antioxidant-rich foods to protect glutathione levels are among the most evidence-supported steps you can take. The feet are simply your body's early warning system. Pay attention to what they are telling you before the signals get louder. If you are seeing any of these signs consistently, do not brush them off as just dry skin or poor circulation. Your feet may be flagging a liver issue that is still very much reversible at this stage. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, drop a comment telling us which sign surprised you the most, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video like this one.